I'm here with Hannah Arbitman, and she is a in-game host for the Chicago Wolves and Chicago Dogs. So Hannah, I appreciate the time you just coming on my show just to talk with me. For today, that for anyone that's listening, I appreciate everyone coming in and listening, and I hope you guys can just relax and enjoy the show. So Hannah, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on my show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Hey, this should be fun. So I'm excited to get to know more about you and learn about your past experiences in sports. So kind of just to start off like an open-ended question. Hannah, how are you doing, and how's life been for you this last couple of months?
Pretty good. Last couple of months, I'll take it from probably September, have been slow. One season ended, another season starting. It's kind of that lull in between seasons where you don't really know what to do with yourself. So I was just trying to stay busy for the month of September, waiting for hockey season in October. And then once hockey picked up, it's been go, go, go nonstop. And yeah.
That's awesome. Can you explain to me like kind of like what the Chicago Wolves is, and like how like what league it's in for anyone that doesn't know about what the Chicago Wolves are?
Sure. So the Chicago Wolves are an American Hockey League team. The American Hockey League is the league right below that National Hockey League. So it's the tier two league. Typically farm clubs, which basically means that it's the second roster of an NHL team. With the Chicago Wolves specifically, they are independent, so they don't have a parent club in the NHL. They're their own team. They have a few prospects from different teams around the league, but they're not affiliated with a certain NHL team.
Okay, so as far as like the levels to get to the NHL, because that's the top, the cream of the top, um, the big leagues. How many levels would that be before like of where the Chicago Wolves are?
So it's the Chicago Wolves, and then it's, say, the Carolina Hurricanes, because that's who they were affiliated with. So they're right there. There are guys that are right there with the NHL who are making their way into the NHL, or some guys who are veterans who have played their time in the NHL and are kind of bringing their career back into real in the AHL.
Oh, okay. So would you compare the system to like the G League of what you see in the NBA?
Oh, totally. It is very similar. Yeah. I know the Chicago Bulls have the Windy City Bulls as their G League team. Obviously, they're right across the street from each other, so to say, Hoffman Estates, Chicago. The Chicago Wolves were affiliated with the Carolina Hurricanes, so kind of a ways away, but still the same concept.
Oh, that's great. And just in relation to you also working with the Chicago Dogs, could you explain what that is as well?
Yeah, so the Chicago Dogs are also an independent league team. They are in the American Association. I think that is equivalent, near the equivalent of double A baseball for anybody that might understand. I personally don't know too much about baseball,
Yeah.
so I can't get into detail about that, but they are an independent team in the American Association.
Oh, that's great. Just with like learning new things and like new organizations, I think it's great to like understand like the background of like where everything came from, and the connection of like how like whatever league you're in, like it's all still impactful in some sort of way.
For sure. And I think a big thing with minor league teams starting out hosting in minor league teams, you get a lot of exposure to major leagues. And just as they're developmental for players, I feel like they're also developmental and could be a big stepping stone for their staff as well.
Oh no, I totally agree. I mean, it all works together hand in hand. And we're one thing I've realized from sports is like we're all one big team, regardless if you're playing or if you're on the sideline helping some one player out, one and another. We're all connected.
Yes, 100%.
So now that you've kind of explained like the process of like how the teams are represented and the organizations you work for right now currently, Um, just for the viewers and anyone that's listening today, just so they can get a better understanding between the relationship between you and me. We met each other working with the Chicago Fire um, as brand ambassadors, and we kind of worked. I mean, you worked partially this season as well, so I'd say it's been like
Okay.
yeah, it's been like 2 seasons, to say the least.
Yeah,
So can you kind of tell me like what made you want to work for the Chicago Fire?
sure. So I started off in a very similar position actually with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Mm.
And once that season was over, obviously summertime, with being part-time staff, you kind of always have to find something new during the off seasons. So I actually applied for an internship with the fire,
Mm.
didn't get it. But they did say, hey, you've got enough resume experience. We think you'd fit well for this job. So that's how I ended up as a brand ambassador.
Oh, that's sweet. For
Mhm.
me, I was just like in school, and like since I have a background in sports, I was just looking on like the Paul pages, and I saw like there was like opportunities to work just part time and gain some experience. Um, that was like in the Chicago area, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity.
I will say I think those jobs do help build a lot of game day experience, whether it's operations, game presentation, marketing, anything like that. It is a great way to step into the sports industry and to gain connections, build a community around yourself, and really move further.
No, I totally agree. I've learned so much just from working with the organizations so far. Like whether it's just like the little things that like people don't realize when they go to a game that people do. So fans can get the memorable experiences that they want at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's so interesting going to games now. I just recently went to a Chicago Blackhawks game as a fan for probably the first time in like 2 years. And the entire time I was just sitting there and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But I also know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, how everything is being handled. So, like, when they take contestants out during intermissions for, say, like shoot the puck or ride in the Zambonis, I'm like, I remember doing that. Like, it's always a good flashback, but I think both organizations, I think the Chicago Fire organization is a great way to get yourself through the door because they're really helpful and they do want you to succeed and move forward.
Okay, yeah, no, I totally agree. So now like that you've talked a little bit about your experience with your work and also just the connection we have. Can you just tell me like we're gonna rewind back. We're gonna go back memory lane. Tell me about your upbringing.
So I come from an immigrant family. My parents came from the, we'll call it the Soviet Union
Yeah.
after it was um, no longer the Soviet Union in 1999. So
Hmm.
I was born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago. I do associate myself very heavily with the Russian culture
Hmm.
as I went to Russian daycare, like all the activities growing up to sustain the language were Russian speak through the Russian speaking community. Spent a lot of time in Russia as a child. So that's kind of my upbringing. I played volleyball as a kid, so I was always in sports for as long as I can remember. And then I played for one semester of college, knew going into college that I wanted to work in sports.
Hmm.
And after sort of sitting on the bench for a little bit, I realized that my volleyball career has probably come to an end for the
Hmm.
best. And I decided to take the step out and start working in sports.
Oh, that's great. Do you have any siblings by any chance?
No,
No, only child.
an only child.
Okay. So, would we say that like for family visits, or if you have any relatives that are in the States, like it was big, you have like cousins that you were always competitive with, or like someone that you're competing with?
Honestly, no. Both of my first cousins are 15, 16 years older than me.
Oh,
I
okay.
am the baby of the family. I didn't really have competition. I was definitely treated like a princess, and it shows, unfortunately. But I don't think I ever competed with anybody. I was definitely competitive as a kid, obviously playing sports and everything. But I was also in theater, so I think that built a lot of character and also kind of put me on the path to combine sports and theater and go into hosting.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Just from analyzing your personality, from interacting with you, I've noticed a sense of poise. Like, there seems to be some sense of confidence, but like it's humble in some matter. So tell
Yeah.
me, where does that come from?
My mom, 100%. I think that's something that she preaches so often, and I think it's a big thing for her is staying humble, but knowing your worth and
Mm.
knowing who you are as a person, so that's all credit to my mom.
Oh, well, we got to salute the moms out there and the
Oh,
special
yeah.
ones.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So, in relation to just your culture and your language, do you speak Russian fluently?
I do, yeah, so we speak Russian at home. I speak Russian with all of my relatives, most of my friends. It's my first language. Still very comfortable speaking it. I've hosted events in Russian, so it's definitely helped out.
That's awesome. For me, like my family's from Nigeria, so we have a language that we speak as well, but I'm not fluent at all in it. Like my parents, like because the main language they speak in Nigeria, oddly enough, is English, just because it's universal, and I believe if I don't want to quote myself on it, but I believe if you just go back in history, um, the British like colonized the part of where Nigeria is today. So that comes down to it. But there is a native language that is spoken, and there's tribes in just like different regions. I'm not sure if that's how it is in Russia, like, or just like everyone in Russia just speak Russian.
So, this is an interesting point you bring up. My parents are from Ukraine.
Oh,
They're from Western Ukraine, the part that borders Russia. They grew up going to Russian speaking schools. Everybody in their city spoke Russian. So, although they're Ukrainian, they speak Russian, and we more associate with the Russian culture just because that's what we're more used to and again grew up with. So I guess it is the same way, but then there's also republics within Russia, like there's Tatarstan, Bashkortostan. There's tons of separate republics within Russia that have their own languages.
mm,
But for the most part, they do speak primarily Russian within Russia.
wow, that's amazing.
It's kind of similar, maybe, but just not tribes, but they do have different republics within one country.
Oh, well, like, I mean, you've kind of broken that all down in a nutshell. So I appreciate that and just going more in depth about your culture, because it seems like you represent it well.
Thank you. I have to ask you, is there a big Nigerian community here? Is that
Um,
a
in the Chicagoland area, I would say so. It's kind of spread out. If I just had to, I mean, you can also tell me your perspective on what you know already, but I will say Nigeria, there's a lot of Nigerians in like the United States, in like Texas. I want to say like DC area and Chicago as well, but we're kind of spread out all throughout the world, but those are the places I know for sure.
okay, interesting.
And how is that for you?
So again, I'm from the northwest suburbs. There is a giant Russian speaking community here.
Mhm.
So I'm very grateful to have that, to have people around me who, share the same values and the same culture. I think it's something really special. Um, Again, I grew up participating in children's theater. It was a Russian children's theater. I still interact with them today. I choreograph some of their shows. So it's a big part for me, 100%. And I am very grateful to have that.
No, I love that because I was just telling my parents, even with like understanding a language, being able to embrace your culture of where you came from and where your ancestors came from is only gonna is only gonna be beneficial for you in so many ways. Like for you, it's through your work. You're able to use both languages to your own benefit. But that could also just be for the legacy of the family to like continue the path moving forward.
Mhm. I think it's a good thing that you brought up using it in work because I actually have. Um, I don't know if this is something I should elaborate on or
Yeah, you can talk about it.
so I did work for a Russian news media company interviewing players solely in Russian. So NHLers, Russian speaking NHL players, which is a great thing. And I think it immediately lights up the room for a guy when you walk into the locker room in the United States and say, "Hey, can you give me an interview in Russian?" They get very excited. And all of a sudden, it's this conversation. Oh my goodness, where are you from? Who are you? Like, how do you speak the language? This and that. And I have a very like American name. So I think it throws people off most of the time, but it's a great way to build connections with people.
No, I love that. Yeah, because like, I mean, from like seeing your name, I wouldn't think you're Russian, but you can't
Right.
you can't judge a book by its cover. So that's cool to know. And speaking about languages, I feel like I've asked you this before, but if you could just like explain for the people that are listening, with your understanding of knowing another language, because I've access to my parents as well. Um, do you like think like let's say you're speaking in English like you are to me, but like you understand Russian, so like do you like sometimes think in Russian before you speak in English, or if someone says something to you?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I actually had a problem in school where I would think in Russian but speak in English. So my words were misplaced in sentences because I was directly translating from Russian to English. My second grade teacher brought it up to my parents, was like, I think she has a disorder. My mom just sat there and she's like, no, she's just translating. Like this is, and I think when she figured out that I was speaking another language, she's like, okay, no problem. You're good to go. She's fine. But now I still sometimes will think in Russian, talk in English happens. I try to kind of flip the switch, which might sound funny to you, but like if I'm surrounded by English speakers for a certain period of time, I'll start thinking in English. If it's the other way around, I'm thinking in Russian. So it really just depends on the group of people I'm with, the setting that I'm in, kind of those factors, I would say.
So you would say the environment kind of dictates and influences your own level of understanding of like what you're thinking or where you're gonna speak.
Yes.
That's awesome. I think like a lot of times people don't realize the more languages you know, it's just beneficial. So it's great to hear about that talk and just your own experiences so far with understanding multiple languages. So as we move forward and we focus our attention back to sports, tell me how sports has influenced your life.
It builds character 100%. That is whether you work in sports or you play sports. Again, growing up playing a sport has really helped me figure out people. That might sound weird, but I think when you're working with a team, it is very important to obviously collaborate, but also to understand the personalities of the people around you. And that is something you pick up with time. So, sports, whether it's a two-person sport or it's a 12-person sport, it helps you build yourself as a person and gain knowledge that school obviously is not going to teach you.
So you feel like do you feel like in some sort of way it teaches you like more life lessons because you're just like going through it on your own versus like being taught or someone just saying things and you having to comprehend it?
Absolutely. I think with girls too in sports, I mean, when I was younger, obviously, again, going back to the competitiveness, there is always competition. Like, yes, you can be friends, but at the end of the day, you're competing for a spot, especially when it gets to college recruitment and everything like that. You are competing to show that you're the best and that whether it's a D1 team, a D2 team, they're going to need you specifically and not the five other girls on the court playing next to you.
Hmm.
So, as much as you have to show that you're one team and you're working together, you're also kind of fending for yourself. And it's the same way in working with sports.
I see. So like would you say that like with playing in a team environment, like you felt like you always had like less control compared to like an individual thing that you had to do?
Yes, but I don't know if you know too much about volleyball, but I was a setter. So the
Okay.
setter is kind of like the quarterback of a volleyball team.
Right.
So the setter has a lot of control on the court. It translates really well, I think. I think that kind of helped with my personality of that poise, as you said, the confidence, but also like the okay, let's bring it back in. Um, so yes, 100%.
Oh, did you when you were playing volleyball, did you play like club and like travel?
Yes. So I started playing club when I was 10, played through age 18, because that's the most that you could play club, and
Mhm.
then 1 semester of college.
Okay. And was volleyball the only sport you played?
I tried everything growing up. My parents really wanted me to be very versatile, try literally every sport. I think the few that I didn't try were actually hockey and soccer, funny enough, and obviously baseball.
Mhm.
But basketball, dance, figure skating, tennis, swimming, like you
Wow.
name it, I probably tried it. So
Okay. And
yeah.
then did you out of all those sports, you felt like you had the most success in volleyball?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My mom was a professional volleyball player, so it kind of also helped there that she was able to give me advice and coach me and help me.
Mhm.
Uh, and obviously, the height is a big thing in volleyball. We've got a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah, he's super
So,
tall. Not to mention
yeah.
that.
So, volleyball kind of just made sense for me.
Okay. Oh, that's cool to hear. Um, so like with I guess with you throughout your young childhood and eventually realizing volleyball was your sport growing up, when did you like realize you could like play at the next level? Because the gap and just even with traveling, it's so much. Like for me personally, like I'm not the tallest guy. I would just say I'm average, but like I had hoop dreams. Like at one point, like I played travel league and like I wanted to at least play in college, but like it just didn't add up the way I envisioned it. But hey, we're still here today. But like to talk about more about yourself, um, like when did you realize you could play at the next level?
I think I've actually never been asked this question, and it really just made me go back and really think. I think I was a freshman in high school, probably. I
Mhm.
had just switched clubs. The club that I started playing at had literally just started a girls program. And recruiting was a big thing that they were pushing. And probably freshman, sophomore year was when I kind of realized that I could do this. So started contacting college coaches as early, I think, as the end of my freshman year of high school, which is very early. I committed to Division 3 as a
Mhm.
junior, which is too early, I would say. I feel like nobody I looking back now, I don't think kids should be able to make those decisions so early.
Yeah.
Like we've got that May 1st deadline, figure it out by then, but don't rush with it. There's no need to.
Would you say you were like you were like stressed throughout
Oh
the
yeah.
recruitment
Oh,
process?
100%. Yeah. So I initially had plans of Division 1. I was talking to Division 1 coaches. Everything was going well for me. Things were starting to kind of piece together. Division 1 was a possibility. This is the end of my sophomore year when I'm actively speaking with Division 1 coaches. Now, the earliest you can commit by that time changed to junior in high school. So this is probably 2 weeks into high school season. I break my ankle. That's a big thing in any sport, but especially in volleyball, like ankles are kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
You need them. Um, and I, and then COVID hit. So I'm just kind of in like that one season where I really haven't gotten to play because first I break my ankle and then it's recovery, kind of trying to get back to that level. Never did. And I realized that again, my freshman year of college, when I was already playing Division 3,
Mhm.
obviously there's no scholarships at the D3 level, anything like that. And I just decided to take a step back and put the knee pads away.
Yeah. So would you say like recruitment affected you because of the COVID, like the pandemic going on, just with like you trying to figure out really if this was the right fit for you?
Mhm. So, a big thing in recruitment is obviously exposure to college coaches. When you're not playing your junior year of high school, that is like peak recruitment. Like, that is when coaches are most interested. That is kind of when you're displaying your highest level of play. That is when coaches are building their rosters for the following seasons. That's when they need to be seeing you.
Mm,
And with COVID, with obviously my injury, that was not possible. I think there was maybe 1, 2 tournaments that we played that travel season. They weren't huge national qualifiers or anything, so not every school that I wanted to or had hopes to attend was there. Not every college coach that wanted to see me came to see me. There was a lot of things COVID kind of broke down, but also created for me. So, as bad as it may sound, maybe like I kind of like the whole quarantine thing.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, you gotta just think about like every opportunity, even as I try to reflect back on the pandemic, there was a lot of pros and cons to it. I mean, I feel like in some sort of way we all grew. Um, but like, it's just a matter of like really like focusing on what your passion is and like what you want.
yeah, 100%. And it's, again, COVID obviously not a positive for the world, but
Mm,
it definitely did change some people's paths.
yeah, I think it changed a lot of people's lives.
Yes.
Um, like especially with like NIL deals or like just like with recruitment like you mentioned right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's back to normal. I'm not too associated with the volleyball world anymore,
Mm,
unfortunately, but I'm sure everything is back to normal there. Yeah.
okay. So just as you talked about like your experiences of playing the game of volleyball, as we go back to like working now with your career, throughout your experiences of like just working in the sports industry so far, what do you think is like the key recipe for success in your opinion?
Do not burn any bridges.
Mm,
That is the most important thing. Whether one opportunity works out for you or it doesn't, the most important thing you can do is continue upkeeping positive relationships with the people around you
okay.
because you don't know where you'll end up and you don't know where they'll end up.
Okay.
And you might cross paths again somewhere in the future. And if that bridge is burned, that's a connection gone. That's a job that you won't get.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, and no, honestly, I think that is true. You kind of, but I would say that takes a lot of discipline too, because you have to be like in a mature and like just have be in the right state of mind to make decisions that are solely just not based off emotion.
Absolutely. That's a hard thing to do, but I think that if you're at the stage where you're working and you understand that you want to be working in that industry,
Mm,
you should also kind of be in that right brain space to understand that you're mature enough and you need to have adult conversations and be on the same wavelength as your coworkers.
no, I totally agree, and you bring up a great point. Um, So like now that you talked about like that like connections are key and like really just being in the state of mind to like accept everyone and love everyone for who they are. Uh like what's your why and like what makes you passionate about pursuing the career you're in right now in the sports industry?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. You have to think.
Yeah, take your time.
That's
I
a
came prepared.
the first thing that came to mind really and the one thing that sticks is building that positive atmosphere for everybody that walks through the gates, through the doors, through the ballpark. Um, it's really bringing people the A1 experience. And for many people, you don't know. It might be their first baseball game, their first hockey game, their first soccer game, whatever it is. They want that positive experience.
Mm,
If you're just going through the rhythm at that point where you're like, okay, this is my 17,000th game, like I don't care, it's going to show.
mhm,
And people are not going to fall in love with the sport, with the team, with the atmosphere at the venue if you're displaying that. So to me, it's really the enthusiasm, the spark, the showing people that this is where they want to be. Like, this is ultimately the team that you should be rooting for because we're a great team. We've got great staff. We've got great game presentation, great this, great that. And you're going to love it here as much as we do. And just showing that you love what you do is going to go so far and resonate with so many people.
mm. I love that.
Any sense? Got very deep for me.
Yeah, that no, that's really good. Yeah, like these are the conversations I think that need to be heard, and need to happen. And as you were talking about all of that, the word that came to mind was culture. Like, when you're working with an organization, you take on the culture, the movement of what the organization is trying to spread to the public eye. And
Mhm.
I think right now you're doing a great job of that. It seems like it's just how you talked about your own interests with being passionate about what you're pursuing in your career. But
Yeah.
just to like go more in depth, like why, like what's your why, like what's your reason for like wanting to pursue this? Is it just to like, would you just say it's like to make people happy in the industry of sports, or like is it like, oh, like for family? Like for me, I think it just like connects to everyone. Like there's so many opportunities that I can get from just sharing what the knowledge I have in sports to others. And I mean also as well as like just also like understanding how I can love like the people around me as well as my family.
I think it's going to sound so cliche, and I don't want to by any means say that I'm a trailblazer of any sorts or anything like that, but I think it's really to show the next generation of multilingual youth that they've got any door that's open for them. As
Mm,
long as they're trying and they're willing and they want to pursue something, they can make it happen for themselves. And it's not to say that being multilingual is a setback. It's absolutely not. It's the opposite. But I just think we need to see, I would like to see in the future many more kids from similar backgrounds like mine.
mm. No, I think that that's great. Because like, it's kind of like like you mentioned, like if you start it, you'll be like a trailblazer for all the multiple people that speak other languages as well. And that can cultivate just like a movement that can be pushed upon to many more generations of like the sports talk, the sports industry. So yeah, no, I appreciate that. All right. So as we move forward with more questions, um, with watching men's and women's sports grow throughout the years, what would you like to see change or improve in the sports leagues?
This is actually a conversation I had a few days ago with a friend who plays in the Russian women's hockey league. Um, they just had their all-star game. Now, obviously, every league is different. Every country has different standards. Every league, sorry, has different game presentation, things like that. But she was very upset by the organization of the women's all-star game. Her first question was, why was it in a different city? Like, we would have gotten so many more fans if it was combined with the men's game or with the men's events, even the same weekend, being in the same city, so many more people would have been drawn to it. So I think it's really about the exposure and bringing that community together, because when you seriously like separate something like the All-Star game, whether it be the WNBA and the NBA or the NHL and the PWHL, which is a brand new league, I think it builds the divide. And it's not to say that I'm an advocate for anything like women's sports are better than men's sports or anything like that. But I do think that women would like to see the same amount of support
Mhm.
that men get. I think that is something that I would definitely like to see in the future. And it hurts. Like, I feel so bad for those girls because they deserve the same amount of respect. They are, I won't say on the same level, but they're at the top for their level, right? Like, and again, for them to be getting stadiums of like 2,000 people and men to be getting stadiums of 20,000 people.
Yeah, there's still like so much like
Yes, we've
improvement.
got a long ways to go,
Yeah.
a long way to go. And that's not only like all-star events, that's everything really.
Hmm. No, I totally agree. I think there's like so many parts you can like break it down to because like if I were just to focus on college sports, um, like I see like the divide that the NCAA is trying to make between women's sports and men's sports. Just to think about like revenue shares and like what makes um the college like especially like I'll think about more Division 1, but like it's any division. What makes the most money is like football, basketball, and then like you can do soccer and volleyball. You can throw that in as well. But the two bread and butters is going to be basketball and football, at least for right now. And so I think about like how many barriers there are centered around that and like how there's still so much things that need to be changed in that order. But I think I mean, not so much more in the leagues, but like the players are starting to get more rights, like more just like more privilege, with the opportunity to share their own message and like I mean you see it all. I'm not sure if you're like tapped in with like NIL deals like in college sports and stuff, but like there's a lot of women players now, regardless of whatever sport they play, they're making a lot of money, even more than like, just a regular person that's working a full-time job or like in some leagues in some matter. So I see like how there's been so much growth with that.
I think it's a great thing that you bring up college basketball
Yeah.
because not too long ago, there were pictures surfacing medias with the comparison of, I think it was the March Madness men's training room.
Yeah.
Training room. I'm sure we all remember this, where the men have this beautiful state of the art facility and the women have like I I don't even know the right words to describe it because it was just like three dumbbells and a bench and that was
Yeah.
it. And you're right, like there are girls making so much money off of their NIL deals playing basketball. So why are they being treated less than in a way, right? Like it's something that I think needs to start at the top for it to really go down to the bottom and have that equivalent for both men and women.
No, I totally agree. And I think it was like during the COVID year that like that happened. But like besides like obviously talking on my own podcast, I follow a lot of different ones around the leagues and like a lot of athletes are creating ones themselves. And it's been real interesting just to see the things that they have shared and experienced through their limelight of being in the sports world. Um, but no, I appreciate the insight, just telling me about your perspective on like what you think is going well and what you think needs to be improved. So as we go to our next question now, all right, we're gonna get a little bit tougher, but I want you to tell me a difficult time you have faced in life and a time where like when you were facing that difficult time, how did you overcome it? It could be about sports or it can be just in life.
I think with sports being such a big part of my life, I would have to draw back on a time that wasn't sports.
Mhm.
Um, I'm trying to weigh the differences, see which time was more difficult for me.
Mhm.
But I think a really big thing in my personality and my character building was my sophomore year of high school. I was on a volleyball team with, I'll say it now because nobody's going to hurt me for saying this, or I'm not going to, there's no consequences.
Yeah.
With very, very toxic culture.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know how common this is in the United States. I know it was a big thing in Russia at the time, but there were parents kind of like, I won't say paying the coach directly, but they were definitely making their way to be closer to the coach to have their kids on the court more.
Mhm.
Now, again, coming from an immigrant family, there was not always the opportunity to pay an extra $70 for an hour-long lesson 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So obviously that displayed my court time.
Mhm.
So less playing time, conflicts with the coach, with my teammates, with club management, with this and that, eventually leading that to college coaches because my coach was not advocating for me the way that he should have, the way that he was advocating for other girls for them to make it to the next level. So that was a time where I kind of had to be very reserved and talk much less than I would have normally because
Mhm.
I knew that everything that I said would then be counted against me. It would then be brought up in a conversation where, well, you said this, but no, I didn't. But this is again, 16-year-old girls at the time,
Mhm.
something so small, but it can seriously be so, I don't want to say life changing, but it can definitely give you a different perspective on very many situations moving forward. So, kind of, I think any time that I have a conflict now, I draw back to that situation, that season, and realize, okay, if I made it past that and past those girls and past those moms, I can make it past anybody in the world. Like,
No,
no problem.
I love that. Just as you've like kind of just broken down like, a vulnerable time you were facing and how you were able to overcome it. Would you say that like because I see it like kind of when you were talking about that, I thought about like teacher's pet, like
Oh, totally. That's but
yeah.
I will add that I'm very grateful for that season for
Hmm.
teaching me, for kind of giving me a little bit of insight into adulthood and what I would have to face later on.
Yeah.
Uh, so as much as it was toxic and horrible at the time, right now I'm very grateful, even to that coach. Like if I saw that coach, I would run up to him and give him the greatest hug and say, "Thank you, my friend. Thank you so, so much." So if anyone's watching this from that era of my life, thank you.
Yeah, I think even despite like any experience you go through, there's always a lesson you can gain from it. And that lesson can push you to be better than you even were, even if you were in a position where you were like right or you were good. Like you can only get better. And like self-improvement is everything.
Yeah. And I think a big thing for me that I've learned from my colleagues is if people are talking about you behind your back, you're walking ahead of them.
Mhm.
So just keep walking, just keep moving. If they're behind you, they're behind you.
Mhm.
Uh, so that's something that I just keep in the back of my head, and that's always kind of a big thing for me too.
I love that you're able to persevere.
Now, yes, maybe I try at least. I try.
All right. So now that we've talked about the tough times, I now want to hear about your memorable experiences of working in sports so far. So if you could just give me your top three um like times or experiences so far where you really enjoyed it or like wow, like oh my God, I'm here right now, or
Yeah.
I just got to meet this person or I got to do this. Tell me about it.
My it up when you said that because truly like coming from the tough time to like the this is great. I love it here. Um I would say my top right now is the National Hockey League draft. I
Mm,
think that was crazy seeing it in person. It was the coolest thing ever. They actually just announced that the next one is in Las Vegas. So I'm actively working on that right now. But the second one would probably be the Chicago Dogs playoff run.
mm,
They made it to the finals, came just short, but
ooh.
I mean, there was a game where we were at the ballpark for 16 innings.
Oh my God.
I would even probably have to highlight that game, just saying winning that game in the 16th inning got to be number two in the positive memories. And number three, hmm, Interviewing Alex Ovechkin maybe would be a big one, I
That
think.
is big. That's big.
Yeah, it's funny to me now because probably that happened just about almost a year ago, and at that time I would have said that's got to be the number one thing that trumps everything else, and it's so good to now be able to put that at number 3. It's very cool. So,
No, that's awesome. Were you do you feel like when you interact with players that like you see on TV and like are the hot shots or the big names, you kind of get like this like starstruck moment? Like for me, like um I'll say like anytime I'm able to attend like a big basketball game because basketball is my favorite sport. Like it's playoffs or just regular season game, and I'm able to be around the guys that like either I grew up looking up to or like just see them go to work on the court. It's like a surreal experience. Like whoa, like I'm in heaven right now.
I think when I first started, maybe that was something that I had experienced, but not as of recently. I
Okay.
think it's interesting, and this was a big thing that my grandparents always told me, like, Hannah, they'll just become your coworkers one day, and you'll treat them like you treat your other coworkers, and that's kind of the way it is, weirdly enough. But no, I still look up to them, and I still have so much respect for them. But I don't think that there's like that you're a star and I'm below you. Not
Okay.
saying I'm a star by any means, but I'm definitely just saying that it's important to talk to them like you're talking to your friend
Hmm.
because they'll appreciate it as well. I mean, they
Okay.
are just normal people. They are, yes, hot shots. They're the greatest of all times, but they are at the end of the day just human beings who want to be treated the same way that anybody else is. So I don't know, like squealing when you see one of them, probably not my thing. Wouldn't do it now. Wouldn't have done it in the past, but I think definitely, I mean, interviewing Ovechkin, my knees were shaking. Like that was the time where I was like, how did I end up here? I don't know. How is he giving me 3 minutes of his life? I don't understand. So that was probably like one of the very few times that I was starstruck and was just standing there in complete awe and shock and like couldn't comprehend what had happened to me the entire ride home. I was like, okay, all right, like we just did that. Yeah, but other than that, I don't know.
No, I love that take, as you've like really drawn a comparison between like how much hype someone should get versus like just understanding that like hey, there's a right way to go about appreciating their talents of what they do, but like not like overhyping them to like to make it seem like they're a god. Like they're just human, like all of us are. So I really appreciate that insight and that relation to what you thought about. So you know, we're wrapping up soon, but like we can still keep going. You're like we're on a roll right now. So tell me, like, with you being an in-game host right now, do you see like another goal or have you thought about like what's the next thing you want to do after that? Or are you still like just focusing on the present right now?
I'm definitely focused on the present. Um, I won't go too much into detail here. But I do have another job that's kind of more the direction that I want to take it in.
Hmm.
Uh, I do see myself being in more of a front office organizational operations position. So I have a job that allows me to display that side of myself as well. But in-game hosting is a great thing for now. For the now, I think like um it's for, I don't want to say that it's for a certain age group, but I definitely think that it's more like the fun on the side job while you have the time and the energy and the ability. So I don't know. I can't say that I've considered sports broadcasting, honestly. Journalism, yes, it's fun, it's cool, it's great, but I don't think it's the path that I want to be on for the rest of my career.
Okay.
So That sounds bad. I'm sure it's not what
No,
you want
it's
to
not
hear,
it's
but
not bad at all.
it's
I
a very honest take here. So it's fun. I'll do it for as long as I can, but it's not what I see myself doing in the future.
Yeah. One thing I do know is like interests change over time. And it's sometimes you feel like you've like the season that you're in is something that like is something that should pass and you're like just ready to embark on a new challenge. So I appreciate just telling me a little bit more about that and like your interests of what you're working on in your career right now. So just before we get to the current events, current topic time. That's what we like to call it on the backyard talk show.
Okay.
um, what would you say? What advice? My bad. What advice would you give to your younger self, reflecting um, on where life has taken you up until this point?
This is advice for my younger self. So if
Yeah.
anybody listening wants to take it, I suggest you don't. I don't feel qualified enough to be giving out advice yet. But I would definitely say, and this is something that I learned too from one of my very good friends, is to be where your feet are. Because I think so often we get into this rush of life and of what's coming next and this and that. And we want to be here and I want to be there and I want to be doing this in the next however many months, years, that oftentimes we just forget to live in the present and to really soak in everything that's going on. So if that is something that I could advise my younger self on, is to just soak up every moment of whatever's going on in that period.
No, that's a nice take. I think a lot of times, just like with thinking about like what younger people like to do, they like to try to grow up because they see adults have these cool things that they can do that I mean maybe kids that are their own age can't do already. So it's like it brings me back that like you said, staying in the present and
Okay,
being
there's a squirrel outside my window.
oh
Oh my God. I have a squirrel outside my window that'll come every few weeks and it just leaves me a piece of bread or like a pastry. It is the wildest thing. It is
it
the
brings up
wild.
a piece of bread.
Yes. I don't see it. Oh, it's back. No, it's got bread.
It wants you to take it or like it just can.
It'll just leave it on my window.
Wow,
I know, that is
maybe
so
that's a
wild.
guardian angel or something.
Okay. We have had this conversation because it comes across the way, so like to our office area, and it does the same thing over there. And my mom has pointed out that it's probably somebody looking over us or something like that. But it is so wild and it's been going on for years. Like 2, 3 years now, maybe. To the point where I even like had to look up a squirrel's lifespan because I'm like, is it the same one or is it a different squirrel? Knows the address. Like, what is the situation? And how does it always have bread? Okay. Anyways, off topic. Sorry. That was just so crazy.
Hey, I love it. You give more people things to talk about when
Yeah,
they do this.
the real me. I have a squirrel that visits me. So public knowledge. You're
I
welcome.
love it. I love it. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, just to finish up with all that, I think that just staying in the present and living in the moment is always something you can look upon and just embrace. So now on the Backyard Talk Show, it is current topic time. Okay. So I've already come up with a couple subjects and topics that we can talk about, and you
Okay.
just gotta pick which one you have the most interest in, and that's what we'll talk about before the show is over. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, yes.
Okay. So just listen for the options first. Um, artificial intelligence or AI. I know you mentioned that you were Russian, so Russia and Ukrainian war,
Okay.
immigration or migrants
Mhm.
in Chicago or overall the US, and the last one is climate change.
Ooh. Okay, I like the first one and the second to last one the most.
Okay, so you like artificial intelligence or immigration? Is that
Yes.
okay? So which one out of the two do you want to pick to talk about?
Let's stick with artificial intelligence because I have a lot to say on this topic.
AI. Okay. So first, since we're talking about AI, tell me what you know about AI and um, how do you think it's been impactful in sports so far in the sports industry?
Okay, interesting way to take the conversation. In the sports industry, I will say that I have used it at my other job to help me out in a few things.
Mhm.
I mean, it's mainly just like administrational things, where it's AI, hey, what is this? Or how can I find this or translate this or something pretty minuscule in that sense. But I think in sports, what I have seen is AI stadium designs.
Mm,
I don't know if this is something that you've seen,
no,
but it's a big thing on TikTok. I'm sure on other platforms as well, where AI designs stadiums based on a team name. So, for example, like the Washington Capitals, I think it created their stadium as a mock of the White House, but like with a hockey stadium.
that's very interesting.
Sense. But I thought it was very cool. Or like the Calgary Flames, and their stadium was shaped like a flame. So that is one of the small things that I've seen AI do in regards to sports. But that is something so interesting. Like if somebody really was into that and decided to take that design a step further and actually build their arena based on an AI design, that would be so cool to see in the future.
Who would get the credit though? AI or the person that decided to ask a question?
That's a ooh, ooh. Could it be like a collaboration of both?
I guess so, but like the way I see AI is like there's so much. I kind of see it as um like something or like something you can ask like any question and it can give you like a reliable source. It's like the internet. If you type in any question into Google, you'll get some sort of answer back. But like AI is like very specific about what you ask, like it will directly tell you about. And I mean, I really don't know too much again about AI, but like I think it's a game changer because I mean, you talk about how it's impacted sports, but like think about the world and like the things you can do with it. Like I see it with everything now.
Again, I think asking like silly questions or questions that maybe aren't super important is one thing, but it could, I mean, like if you're, I don't know, say like looking to get a visa or trying to figure out how to become a US citizen, you can probably type that in there and it's going to tell you exactly every step that you need to take, what you need to do. Here's like the best contacts, this and that. I remember one time I was looking for either Instagram content or trying to find a caption for a post. And I typed it into AI and it generated some options. They were all very like 2010s captions. So I did not use them. But that is like entertaining to me now to just type in, hey, create me a caption or plan my content for the week or something like that.
No, I totally agree. Uh, AI is gonna change the world. I mean, you already kind of see like in some regards that like smart cars are like being able to do things already. So when you incorporate that, I feel like technology is gonna take over our lives, you know?
It's scary how far we're going, but it's also scary how far back we're falling,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I totally agree. Well, that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to discuss with you on the Backyard Talks show. Hannah, I want to just end by saying thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. Um, we will for sure stay in touch, as I know you're going to be doing big things, Hannah. And I thank you again for coming on the show. For those that are watching today, thank you for listening or watching. Your support goes a long way. And signing off, this is Anthony or DJ Double A or Double A on the Backyard Talk Show with Hannah Arbitman. Did I say it
Yep,
right?
you got it.
In-game host with the Chicago Wolves and Dogs. Stay tuned in for another week of the Backyard Talk Show, where you will find a new interview being released. If you're looking for a current episode to watch, you can also watch it on YouTube by just typing in the Backyard Talk Show. Thanks again, and I hope everyone has a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Anthony. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Hannah.